Alright, we're back. Real quick and easy. Let's get it. Investigating the Trump assassination conspiracy. Damn. I ain't gonna lie though, the Secret Service should have got, the head Secret Service should have got fired. And that girl right there should have got fired too.
Then when he turned his face,
It was one of you guys.
From his ear coming down.
This cameraman was the intended assassin to kill Donald Trump, plain and simple.
You think Thomas Cook was a decoy?
I think Thomas Cook is 100% a decoy.
Oh Lord.
Thomas Cook. Who was it?
Here we go. Tommy G.
On July 13th, Thomas Crooks attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. In the immediate aftermath, our government officials have given us little to no meaningful information, and because of this, many conspiracy theories have arisen. To investigate the Trump assassination attempt properly, I assembled a dream team of experts. First up, Andrew Bustamante, an ex-CIA agent who spent 7 years in covert operations around the world. Next, Danny Ho, an elite special ops sniper who operated with the Green Berets and Delta Force and was the recipient of the prestigious Silver Star. Then we got Charlie Butt, a man who spent nearly 2 decades in the Secret Service and guarded the likes of President Clinton and both President Bushes. And finally, Senator Ron Johnson, the man who is spearheading the investigation into the Trump assassination attempt. We also talked to former classmates of Thomas Crooks and people who sat 20 feet from Donald Trump at his Butler rally. Throughout this episode, we will investigate the various conspiracies surrounding this assassination attempt in an effort to discover the truth of what happened that day. But first, a quick disclaimer.
Tommy G has just asked me to tell you that he is not suicidal and that he very much enjoys his life because he is mildly nervous that federal agencies might try to assassinate him.
And I approve this message.
Go ahead. Mark.
My name is Andrew Bustamante. I'm a former CIA intelligence officer. I spent 7 years working undercover with the National Clandestine Service from 2007 to 2014 before I got out and rejoined the civilian world.
Former?
Yeah. Yes, former CIA.
Charlie Butt. I'm a retired Secret Service agent. Previous experience as a special agent for U.S. Customs Service. Spent 28 years as an agent, and I'm here to discuss the events of July the 13th.
I don't want to die.
The assassination of former President Donald Trump.
4 years Ranger, got out, went to college, became a computer programmer, hated it, went back to the military, became a Green Beret, and then deployed to pretty much everywhere there was something to do since '91.
How many missions did you go on while you were away?
My last 9-month mission in Basra was 152.
152 missions?
In 9 months, yeah.
You won the Silver Star.
Mm-hmm.
You took out 17 enemies with your knife.
That's what they say.
That's insane.
That is crazy with the knife.
We're on a quest to discover who was Thomas Crook. What was he like? What did people think of him? What did he do? What did his daily life look like? We're heading first to the nursing home he worked at. This is the place that he worked. And a classmate of his even said, hey, I saw him walking to work some days. It is hard to imagine a guy that was working with seniors is now front page news for trying to kill him.
That is
president.
True. That's true. But you never know with nobody.
We have a man we gotta discover. Thomas Crook. Who was he?
This is a guy who history would have never remembered, and now we're going to be talking about him for a long time. So one thing that's interesting to me is that he comes from a medical background. He worked here in nursing and rehabilitation as a dietary aide. So what that tells me is that somehow he had a heart for helping people. And yet this A guy ended up on a roof with a weapon trying to assassinate a former president.
I wonder why. We're
getting conflicting reports. On one end, you hear people that say he was kind, polite, nice, quiet. Other reports say he was a loner, strange, and he is that guy that they got the school shooter vibes from. We're gonna talk to a couple of his classmates.
They gave him school shooter vibes. That's crazy.
I really did get like chills hearing about it. Just a kid's name that I had graduated with, and I don't think really anyone saw it coming. He was a respectful kid. The way that he carried himself, he was very quiet, like to himself, but never had any like threatening kind of nature. Very smart, cared about school.
I heard he won a math award.
Yeah, he was very good at, academics. It was what he cared about. He pursued, he wanted to go after high school for like a computer engineering kind of degree.
Was he one of the smartest kids in the grade, would you say?
Yeah, I would say that.
Some of the stuff that's going on in the news is, oh, he was bullied, he was bullied.
He was bullied almost every day. He would sit alone at lunch. I mean, he was just an outcast, and you know how kids are nowadays, and it's honestly kind of sad. He was bullied so much.
I don't know.
So much.
He wasn't bullied as much as the media is pushing, the mainstream media. His guidance counselor at this high school even came out with a statement last night saying, Thomas never came to him for any particular bullying.
What could I have done differently? And there's
a lot of people that don't go to counselors
in this case because there were no signs.
Incident that had been bothering him or had significantly affected him in any way. So,
did anyone say this kid had the reputation of, if there's gonna be a school shooter, it's gonna be him?
No, I actually can't say that. There's been a lot of articles and interviews that have come out recently that have said that he was nicknamed the school shooter years prior, and it's just absolutely not true at all. He had some friends that he would
name school shooter. I doubt it.
What he needs.
It's something I would never expect to happen around me. You feel me?
Yeah.
You see it happen in Florida, you see it happen here and there, but like here, it's so crazy. He was walking through these doors and
every single day.
I'm pretty sure he just graduated last year, which is crazy.
One of the main conspiracies that has emerged is questioning whether Crook worked alone or had outside help. Because after all, how could a 20-year-old kid outsmart the Secret Service? The top conspiracies on who Thomas may have collaborated with
from what I
include
heard,
the FBI, a shadowy U.S. government agent,
Secret
and
Service
the
weren't
Iranians.
even guarding
Let's
that place
investigate
really
these
good.
claims.
And there's a video I'm going to show you guys right now. Watch.
So you think Thomas Crook's only fired once?
Yep. Then they took him out because they had him in the scope for 3 to 4 minutes. They ain't going to let him shoot 8 bullets.
Looking at this guy, what an intelligence agency would do, it would send this guy a friend, an artificial friend, to create a relationship that was based on the
really easy
intentions
to get
of the
to
intelligence
the
agency, not based on the best
the
intentions
ex-president,
of the
unless
individual.
you're
Once
the
they
real,
would send in an
the current
artificial
president.
friend, that friend would start to manipulate some of Thomas's existing behaviors, like his loner behavior, his natural paranoia, his interest in things that were marginally crazy, like bomb making and violence. And they would find a way to validate and encourage his own natural tendencies towards behaviors that were useful to the intelligence organization.
The Heritage Foundation did an investigation, and they found that a cell phone that could be traced to the FBI or near an FBI building visited Tom Crooks at the senior care facility. And this is where the conspiracy lies, that an inside government agent was helping him to carry this out. I take it you're Mike?
I am Mike.
Okay. One of the things I think is most interesting is your work. The Heritage Foundation came out with something that they traced a phone to Thomas Crooks that may have visited his place of work. Tell me more about that.
We essentially dropped geofences on known locations that Crooks had visited, to include his home, place of work, other things that have been publicly reported and confirmed. Located about 9 devices that we, popped in multiple places. The phone that pinged in the known locations of, his home or work, we then traced to a location in Washington, D.C. It pinged there 17 times. These tools are available for investigative purposes, and the FBI and Secret Service have not been forthcoming with any new information about the assassination plot.
So what we're talking about here is known as close associations. Is it a cell phone to cell phone connection? Meaning, did one phone call the other phone? If so, Was it a two-way transaction? Was it a one-way transaction? Meaning, was it just an inbound call? Was it an outbound call? Did the calls actually connect? Were there multiple calls? Or is it just what's known as a geolocation association? Meaning the phone was in the same geolocation as another phone. If he worked at a nursing care facility and the FBI officer had, or if it was an FBI officer at all, it could have also been an FBI accountant, it could have been an FBI informant, it could have been an FBI bureaucrat. Were they at the same nursing facility just visiting their mom or their dad or their aunt or uncle? And they just happened to be geospatially or geolocated at the same location. That's the problem with organizations like the Heritage Foundation. When they actually go to do the investigation, they don't look at all the different possibilities that could help explain why there's an association between the two phones.
That they're going to have to start pulling all the data from the towers, and they're going to have to identify all of the phones that were there. They're going to have to look back in time too, pull the data from around whatever cell coverage was at his home, because if you look at where his home is compared to where the site is, they're not close to each other and they would not be the same cell towers.
Another suspicious detail is that he happened to train at a gun range where FBI guys were known to train, and that's where some people speculate that if a connection was made there.
In this rural part of Pennsylvania where he's from, there's not a lot of options for where you might be able to train. When you combine the fact that an FBI cell phone was geolocated close to Thomas Crook at his workplace, and then you also consider the fact that an FBI officer or FBI presence was known to train at the same gun range, was there some sort of existing relationship between him and some FBI associate?
There has to be.
Was FBI covertly surveilling Crooks and seeking and putting themselves in a location where they were following him to his workplace,
I don't know,
following him to the gun range?
Maybe.
Or was Crooks himself following known FBI agents?
Law enforcement sometimes uses private ranges or public ranges that are open to the public. That doesn't mean that they're necessarily in conspiracy with an individual at that range.
Last two were up, double tap. That's the guy from, I think, inside. That's your second shooter that they took out from inside, I believe.
There may be a second shooter additional to Thomas Crook. Do you have any insights on that?
We have eyewitness accounts that there were 8 shells besides Crook's body.
Almost immediately after the news broke, a left-wing conspiracy began circulating that Trump staged this event. Some said this was a way to divert attention from the news that Trump was named in the Epstein files, and others said this was just a publicity stunt to boost his polling numbers. Because after all, they said, the camera person that took this photo was ushered in front of the stage by the Secret Service at the absolute perfect moment. This is what the internet had to say.
Why has Donald Trump's ear healed so quickly after being shot? For the first time since the assassination attempt earlier this month, Trump has been seen without the bandage that covered his ear. Everyone on the internet is puzzled by the absence of stitches or visible scars on the former president. Recent photos from a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu show Trump's ear looking remarkably unscathed.
I cannot believe what I'm hearing right now. To say that Donald Trump's assassination was staged is just wild.
If you wanted to stage an assassination, you would shoot 35, 40 degrees off target, well away from anybody accidentally getting hit.
The other thing that caused people to think Trump staged this are the questions surrounding his ear. Did he use fake blood? Did he trust a shooter to graze his ear? Did his ear truly get hit by a bullet? And if so, how did it heal so damn fast? What's nonsense and what's fact? Let's ask the experts to give their opinions on this.
It was said that Trump was shot through the ear with a bullet. This here's a picture of Trump's ear from no less than 6 days ago.
So I don't know, I would trust that
the
this
hair
is a photo
covering
from 6 days ago first. The next thing I would want to know is, what did the bullet wound look like immediately after the gunshot? The wound was very superficial. It actually happened to Donald Trump's ear. You can actually see that the body of the ear itself is still attached. So the upper part of the lobe is still there. In fact, it looks like it was just this back area here that was nicked, and that's where all the blood came from. So not only would the wound have healed and the bleeding would have stopped, but then on top of that, you can see that he's under heavy makeup because it's a press appearance. So the makeup would have actually covered up the spot where the specific nick or the specific penetration would have happened.
No one is going to stage something like this to be nicked by a bullet. You could very easily be killed. So I don't believe that this was staged in any way. I do not see that as being a correct theory.
No way that's true. I mean, unless there's somebody else right over there hiding with a badass optics weapon that fired his own simultaneous shot on a countdown.
And then we're gonna leave it right there, and then we're gonna come back with another video.